Hello, fellow adventure seekers. Gonna do a bit of a specific video today. Just wanted to discuss the process of installing, or at least my process of installing an Ikamper Skycamp 2.0 onto the Rhino Rack backbone system with the Pioneer platform. Something I did want to point out about this combo is Skycamper sends their 2.0 hardware, which is great hardware. It just doesn't happen to work for this particular application. And they were awesome. I called their customer service up. They swapped out the 2.0 hardware for their earlier 1.0 hardware. So if you're going to do this, again, make sure you get that 1.0 hardware. The rack, you can't see it right now, but the rack has got some rails on the bottom, and unfortunately on this, or I should say the tent does, and the rack, the rails, sometimes on the wider rack for maybe like a Land Cruiser or something like that, the brackets would mount directly onto the crossbar here. On a Rhino rack that has 5 planks. This one has 4 planks, right? These longitudinal lines here. The problem with this particular rack is you can't get to the crossbars because the planks are in the way. So you have to kind of, I didn't show this first step, but we, 4 people lifted the tent up onto the rack, and basically I kind of took a sight measurement at the end of the C channel, or the rail on this side, and then one way up there on the front, and just kind of took a piece of twine here and kind of struck a line. So I'm gonna have to drill a couple of holes right here so I can get the carriage bolts down onto this crossbar, and do the same up front, and then the rear as well too. So all right, here we are. This right here is the bracket. This is the one that slides into the rail on the rack, or I'm sorry, on the tent itself. I'm just gonna use it to as a template, I guess. This right here is the crossbar. Just kind of zoom out a little bit for perspective here. So I guess it really doesn't matter which holes you use. I'm gonna use this one here, and I don't know, maybe this one here. This one here. So I'm gonna use it as a template, make a couple marks. Wish I had a different, maybe like a white marker, but put a couple marks just very near this twine here, and then drill my pilot holes, and then I'll come back and drill out maybe a little bit bigger hole than this here, just so there's a little bit of play on the very last step when we actually get the tent kind of hovering over the rack itself. And then these are going to be inside that channel with some carriage bolts kind of hanging through it, and you're going to have maybe a little bit of space between the rack, the rail, and then the rack, and then you're going to have to kind of get it into these holes. So I'm going to make these holes just a little bit bigger than the carriage bolts itself for a little bit of play, some wiggle room. And by the way, before I go any further, I just started to drill into this, maybe got I don't know, a millimeter in. You're gonna wanna make sure that you put something between the rack and the roof of your truck, because, I don't know, depending on the size of your bit, you're gonna drill into your roof. So, glad I stopped myself. I'm gonna put, I don't know, maybe a piece of wood or something under there. Okay. And this is the one that I was worried about. Can't see down in there, but again, this is a little lip, and it goes in this way a little bit, and then it drops down, so it's kind of like a C channel. Anyways, this one was a little bit close to the end of that, and I got the bit in there, you know, to drill, sorry. And then, of course, when it gets almost through, it goes whoop, and it wants to slip, so. I don't know if this one will even finish or focus that close, but my pilot hole basically just barely scored this vertical wall here. So I have no idea how I'm even going to be able to continue this hole, considering this hole basically bisects the wall. Okay, we're back to the front of the rack, and you might have remembered I had the problem with the hole being too close to the kind of vertical portion of this extrusion here. So I just kind of went at like a pretty severe angle to get it at least through that wall, and then once I kind of got through that wall, I straightened the bit up. So it's, you know, it looks a little bit ugly right now, but it doesn't matter because the tent's going to be sitting up on that thing and won't be visible. So anyhow, that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to lift the rack on here and try to get that thing mounted. We'll see. There's not a whole lot of space to be able to get your hands under here to, actually it's not too bad, to be able to fit that nut onto the bolt. So it shouldn't be too bad. Right. One, two, three, up. There we go. Feels lighter this time. Yes, it does. I'll pause it right here just to describe a step that I couldn't film because we didn't have any free hands. Once we got the tent up onto the rack, we then placed 2x4s underneath the tent between that and the platform, so we could get that standoff to slide the brackets in with the carriage bolts, having the entire thing kind of hover over the platform, and then we removed it once we got the carriage bolts lined up. Made for a much easier process. Once I got over, you know, spending this much money and not having this thing good to go right out of the box, we were beyond impressed with the fit and finish of the tent, how easy it is to deploy and then stow away. So looking forward to the weather to clear and we can get outdoors and actually use this thing for other than watching movies out in the driveway. So hoping to see you guys out there. Thanks for watching and take care.